Welcome back to At Home with Roby. I'm Patrick McIsaac of Roby Electric with guest host Sean Hogan, also of Roby Electric. Trent is out of town this week, visiting some family in Illinois. And we're still here with Joe Jensen from ReNu Energy Solutions, talking about solar. We're talking about some really fascinating stuff. We were actually talking about net metering and what that means and two different types of solar plans. Joe, let me ask you a question. Sean made an illusion like I have some 10,000 square foot house, which is not true. But is there any concerns with your homeowners of how this is going to look aesthetically? I mean, they've come a long way where it's not like a huge apparatus on the side of your house. These things blend in. I mean, you can hardly even tell they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is some technology out there on the marketplace that's not really aesthetically pleasing, but the product we offer is a very nice product. We deal with some HOAs as well, and those HOAs will have limitations on where you can put solar. We typically see it being put on the back of the home.
Right.
So you really don't typically see it. You can always go to our website, renewenergysolutions.com, RENU, and we've got lots of pictures on there where you can take a look to see how it looks.
That's great. I mean, and Sean had an interesting question during the break, and I know he just probably has a few bits and details about a situation in Nevada. Sean, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was doing some homework on solar and just getting up to date on the latest and greatest, and came across an article about Nevada doing away with some type of subsidy or something along net metering that I'm sure you could answer way better than I could. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation that's happening in Nevada, and a lot of solar companies have packed up and left. And really, it's an attack on the net metering. Really, when you look at your utility bill, whether you have solar or not, there is something called a basic facilities charge. What that charge is to pay for the infrastructure to get the power to your home. So the meter, all of the towers, the wires, everything like that is paid for. You pay for it every day. I think what was happening in Nevada is they didn't really have that in place very well. So the people that went solar were essentially not having to pay into the infrastructure in place. So it may come. I mean, it's going to be an interesting situation to see how that all develops.
That's interesting. And to kind of piggyback off that, I heard that solar is basically the reason for some of these tax incentives. Is because to build another power plant, the cost of trillions of dollars versus just shoveling off some sort of tax incentive is kind of the reasoning for that. Is that true? Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Another interesting point, and really, I think what's happening is, I'm sure if you've read last month, there was one of the highest demands for Duke Energy in the Carolinas. So there was we're using a lot more power. We have a lot more air conditioning units and more people living here. So what the solar is actually doing is lessening the demand on the grid. So the energy companies do not have to build really expensive energy production facilities, nuclear, coal, what have you. So solar is actually helping take that demand and really make it more cost-effective for everybody's energy bill.
So you mentioned something right there. You said grid. Now, you guys offer a solution. I know that sometimes we even partner together on this solution where, in theory, a homeowner can have a solar system and a backup generator and go off the grid.
Yes. Yes and no. So off the grid is really difficult to do if you have a meter in place.
Got it.
Essentially, what we can do is provide a solution where
you don't need utilize any utility power.
You can try to use the utility power as your backup.
Got it. That's probably how I meant to say that. Okay.
Yeah, but we work with you on the generators. I think it's a great solution when the power goes down. Misconception in place is if the grid goes down, people think if I have solar, I can use that power. Electrical code does not allow that. You have to have an automatic disconnect switch, and it's a safety device. So if a guy is working on the line,
right,
and your system and the net metering backfeeds the grid, he would get electrocuted and he'd be hurt very, very badly.
Well, it has to do with AC and DC power, right? Alternating current versus direct current. And solar is, of course, a direct current, and which we obviously have to have an inverter to transfer over to AC. So no, I mean, you're right. We have the same issue. Old school generators. People would say, "Well, I'll just roll my generator out and plug it into my panel. Life is good."
Yeah.
Right. But what they didn't realize is, to your point, is we're now backfeeding the line, and Mr. Utility Worker up there is in a serious risk.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a generator and solar together are a great energy solution. They work very, very well together.
Energy solution. Folks, you're listening to At Home with Roby. Connect with us today on Facebook at Andrew Roby, Roby Electric, and Roby Realty, talking about some really interesting stuff with Joe Jensen here from ReNu Energy Solutions. Joe, speaking of ReNu, you guys are a NARI member. I don't know, we have NARI on here quite regularly, and we talk about NARI almost every show. So these guys are good. They've been vetted through that process. They're NARI members. And the part of the solutions you mentioned are you said daylight. You can add daylight. And is that some sort of solar tube or sauna tube? What is that called again?
Yeah, solar tube.
Solar
so
tube.
really,
Yep.
it's putting a component into your home where you capture the sunlight and then bend that light into a dark spot in your home. So closets, bathrooms, dark hallways are great spots to utilize that.
Is David Beckham the sponsor for that? Has he bend it like Beckham?
Yeah, he should be.
Okay.
He should
All
be.
right.
Didn't you bring up Ronaldo last weekend too?
I wasn't going to say this, but I did bring up Cristiano Ronaldo as he has the most Facebook likes of any person. Okay, here's a quiz for you, Joe.
Okay.
Who has the most Twitter followers? You didn't know you were gonna get stumped here, right?
Beyonce.
That's a good get. Katy Perry.
Wow, I did not know
Katy
that.
Perry. Does
Wasn't
she
far
have
off.
a solar system at her house?
She should.
She should. I kind of agree.
She's in the sunlight all the time, anyways, from what I see
That's
on
the
the internet.
the spotlight.
That's
It's not the sunlight. The spotlight. Sean.
well,
No.
you're right.
All right, guys, let's get back on topic. Joe, we mentioned the website. I think it's worth saying that it's more than just solar with you guys. ReNuEnergySolutions.com, ReNu, with Joe Jensen again. Other services you guys, so you talked about tankless water heaters. That's something we really haven't elaborated in, and that's a huge energy saver as well, because why? You're not heating a big tank all the time,
Yeah.
right?
We're the only country in the world that has just a reserve tank of hot water sitting there all the time that we use power so we have it on demand. So I think a tankless water heater solution is really nice because you can always have hot water. It's an almost endless supply, and you're not just wasting energy to keep that tank of hot water going.
Well, no, I mean, look, I have a water heater in my attic that's a huge tank, and I know it's an energy consumer, but gosh forbid if that thing ever failed. I mean, my whole house is in deep trouble. We have a real tall house, skinny house, like a townhome almost, 3 stories, so if the water heater fails, I mean, and we're all gone. It's no good. So a tankless water heater can help you in that aspect as well, that it's regulating, right? So it's on demand system, so it's only pushing hot water out when you ask for it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Joe,
And
it's
it's a great concern to have a body of water just sitting in your home. That's
Not good.
Yeah.
What I was going to touch on, Joe, is just the progression in solar. It seems to really be taking off versus anything else. I think some people possibly were under the false illusion that it's tampering off, but instead it's really moving full steam ahead. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't know about the technology or know how it works.
Right.
But the technology is first, it's getting better every day. In addition to that, the cost right now is at a perfect sweet spot with the tax incentives and rebates in place. So yeah, I think people first hear about it, maybe do a little investigation, and then really kind of get excited about it, and then start to investigate, and then they call us and say, hey, let's go. And I think that's happening all over the country.
Well, that's good. So, Joe, as we wrap up this segment, tankless water heaters, solar solutions, backup generators, sauna tubes, any of these things, tell us one more time, if I'm a listener out there and I'm interested in any of these 4 things, how do we get to Joe? What's the best way? Phone number, website, tell us what's going on.
Our phone number is 704-525-6767, or you just go to our website, ReNuEnergySolutions.com. That's ReNu.
Great. And obviously, you guys, today's Sunday morning, we're all on the way to church, I'm sure. You're not open on Sunday, so if they want to call, wait till Monday. The website's open, obviously, 24/7. I know it's a wealth of information. It gives photos. I mean, folks, this isn't, if you sometimes can drive by a house with a solar solution and you wouldn't even know it. It's really come a long way. Joe, thank you for being here. You're listening to At Home with Roby. Don't forget to check out our podcast at WBT.com, the WBT app, or the iTunes store. When we come back, we're going to do one of our favorite segments. Christian McCall is going to join us, and we're going to talk about Make-A-Wish.